What to do after creating distance from a narcissistic abuser. Today I want to talk about a feature of recovery from narcissistic abuse that someone brought to my attention recently. I received their direct permission to quote a question that they, I think, put extremely well. Well, this person had purchased my online course for recovery from narcissistic abuse, and here's what they wrote. Again, this was with their permission to put in this video, and I've taken out any identifying details. Here goes. Every time I watch a video of yours, or well, breathe, LOL, I want to angrily point out to my dad and mom, look, this is you. This is how you hurt me. I've created distance and plan to only see them on certain occasions, but my dad keeps poking me with vague and empty text randomly once every couple of weeks that say, hope you're having a nice day, love Dad. I haven't replied because I feel like he just wants to draw me back in. They both act like all is well. I'm angry. I want them to understand. I don't want it to be a hushed, oh, my daughter is going through something. She's acting strange. I want to scream it at them that they hurt me and how, and that I'm done. But everything I've read and the Facebook community from the course says just let it go. No good comes of it. They'll never understand. It just feels so uneasy and without a definite closure. This person, who I'm going to randomly call Serena, points to this important question of what about the absence and aggravation that's often left in the wake of putting distance between yourself and a narcissistic abuser? What about the impossibility of getting that person to recognize the damage they have inflicted upon you? What about restitution? Well, these are all important questions that certainly deserve answers. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about the challenge that Serena so aptly describes, then offer a strategy for, I think, filling the void left by the narcissistic abuser's absence. My name is Jay Reed, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist in California, and I specialize in helping people recover from narcissistic abuse by a parent or a partner. And narcissistic abuse can take a lot of forms, but for the survivor, often leaves a sense of feeling estranged from who you are and the quality of life you deserve. And in individual therapy and my online course on recovery from narcissistic abuse, I try to offer a map that allows you to come back to the quality of life that you know you deserve. And of course, each survivor needs to travel their path themselves, but a map at some level, I think, can be tremendously useful to sort of point to parts of the terrain that need to be navigated. And I think there are three particular features of the map that I just want to bring your attention to, and I call these the three pillars of recovery. The first pillar is making sense of what happened so that you know it was not your fault. The second pillar is called gaining distance, whether it's psychological, emotional, or sometimes physical distance from the narcissistic abuser. And the third pillar is living in defiance of the narcissist rules. And you can't do this in a vacuum. It's so important to find, safe others, communities that you get to participate in and feel validated and supported. Today's video falls under the third pillar of living in defiance of the narcissist rules, and I've organized all the videos on this channel into playlists that correspond to these three pillars, which you can find on the channel. And if you were a scapegoat survivor to a narcissistic parent or partner, then I would also encourage you to check out my free ebook on the topic. It's called Surviving Narcissistic Abuse as the Scapegoat, and it goes into other important aspects of what it's like to be in the shoes of the scapegoat child or partner to the narcissistic abuser. It can often involve having to adopt really painful beliefs about yourself, being in essence undeserving or defective in order to placate the narcissistic partner or parent's need to feel better than. That's sort of the only condition upon which someone who's narcissistic can often function in a relationship. And the ebook, I hope, can help you understand and know that none of this abuse or devaluation was your fault or a reflection of who you are, but was really just a product of the narcissistic person's psychopathology. And you can find the link to the ebook in the description box below or by clicking here. Well, lack of felt closure with a narcissistic abuser. An important source, I think, of motivation for just starting to recover from narcissistic abuse can be a growing sense of deservedness and kind of corresponding outrage at having been treated in such an undeserving way by someone who's pathologically narcissistic, say a parent or a partner who fits that bill. And I think this reaction is necessary to begin questioning the ways you were put down or ignored by the narcissistic person. So, for example, let's say Serena's father was pathologically narcissistic and held an indifferent and derisive attitude towards Serena that she had to accept as normal for most of her upbringing. So she learned to expect mockery if she reported an accomplishment. She recalled in 3rd grade coming home and saying, "Hey, I won the spelling bee in my class," only to have her father say, "Haha, you must have been able to spell cat better than your classmates," while snickering, and her mother kind of chortled along with him. Well, these types of insults seemed to number in the thousands by the time Serena was ready to graduate high school and move out of her home. Well, once she did move out and began to examine herself apart from her parents and began to question how she was treated as kind of lower status than her parents in her home, while outside her home, in her social life and professional circles, she was regarded with respect and even admiration at times. This led her over time not to question these other people's positive reactions to her, but to question her parents' reactions to her. Of course, it took a lot of work and support for Serena to get to that point of questioning her parents. But as this process of healing continued, she grew more and more indignant at the ways her parents had ignored her and put her down for so much of her life. It was easier to stomach when she felt she didn't deserve better treatment as a child. Now that she felt more deserving in her life, her parents' treatment of her felt all the more repugnant, and she really wanted them to see this. Well, this is a completely imagined life history of Serena, that I've imagined, but it illustrates how strong the pull can feel to set things straight with a narcissistic abuser. So what sort of tactics might Serena take that would best promote her continued recovery from her father's narcissistic abuse? Filling the vacuum left by the narcissist. Well, unfortunately, someone who is pathologically narcissistic and not in treatment themselves is unlikely to be capable of offering a response that is healing to the survivor. So Serena's father seemed to have to unconsciously relocate his own sense of worthlessness into Serena and would likely use denial rather than entertain any other possibility if she were to protest, in order to protect his own fragile yet inflated sense of self-worth. I think a probable response from someone like him might be what Serena alluded to in her comment, something like indifference directly to her, then going around to other people and exclaiming that something is wrong with their daughter and they just don't know if she is okay in the head or something like that. This would amount to kind of a smear campaign in whispered tones. In short, a confrontation with Serena's father in this way would likely feel like a boomerang back on Serena and not really be helpful to her process of recovery. But still, what should she do about the feelings of unease and lack of closure without being able to, in essence, set the record straight with her parents? Well, someone once said that nature abhors a vacuum. So if there's an absence somewhere, it will tend to get filled in. In Serena's case, the absence is the lack of her parents' presence in her life since she's created this distance. And we might say it's getting filled now with the very understandable desire to have her grievance addressed by her parents for how they mistreated her. An alternative tactic that I would submit could be possible here, and one that I think Serena's already undertaking, is to really lean into the relationships and resources that readily offer her validation and support. And this would be a different and I think ultimately more healing way to fill the vacuum I referred to. Similar to David Solani's phrase of going where you're wanted and where things work. What I'm suggesting is to move towards such relationships in the aftermath of getting distance from a narcissistic abuser so that you accrue more and more experiences of feeling like you matter, like your perspective has value, and that you deserve respect. And as this happens over time, it can often feel less and less galling that your narcissistic abuser treated you the way they did. Not because you kind of grow to believe you deserve that mistreatment, but because at some point their opinion of you will just not matter. And in a lot of ways, that will afford you the power that may be part of what is sought by having closure with the narcissistic abuser. That is, the narcissist got you into a tug of war when they were a grown adult, you could think of it as, and you, let's say, were a child, so of course they were going to win. If you try to play tug of war now, they're going to claim that they are still winning, even if you clearly pull them to your side. I would argue there's still no winning the tug of war, and one of the worst parts of that is the powerlessness that you may feel in being unable to demonstrate your victory to them, to get them to acknowledge that. But when you effectively drop the rope in the tug of war and walk away without looking back to see the narcissistic person's reaction, and I mean this figuratively, then you may find a new sense of power. A power of kind of defining yourself, where it's your own opinion and those who are readily supportive and valuing of you that matters most. Well, I hope today's video was of some use in, again, this very understandable point that Serena makes. And I think the feelings of kind of dis-ease are also kind of inevitable in not being able to kind of have that closure and demonstrate to the person who's mistreated you that they were wrong. But my hope is that this other more long game tactic of kind of dropping the rope in that conflict and turning towards yourself and filling the vacuum with good, safe others can eventually afford a new sense and source of power for yourself, which is ultimately your own perception and opinion of yourself. Well, again, I want to thank, first of all, Serena for bringing this up and making this important point and the opportunity to kind of, in essence, comment on it. And I want to thank everyone, as usual, for your continued support of this channel and the videos and the community that's really, I think, continues to be there in the comment section, in the support offered to one another. Well, I look forward to posting again next Friday around 9 a.m. Pacific time. Take care.